Well, hello there, Casual Gaming Geek here, and it has finally happened. After waiting for a ridiculously long time, Nintendo has finally decided to officially announce the Nintendo Switch 2. So I just want to go through the first look trailer and just give you my thoughts on what the new console looks like. So let's go. I'm waiting so long for this. So here's the first thing. Obviously, they're showing that the new console is going to be a lot bigger than the original Switch, which I don't really think is necessary. At least the OLED Switch, the screen is big enough, in my opinion, that it doesn't need to be this much bigger than the original. Like, that's ludicrously big compared to the original one. I'm going to assume, and I'll get to in a moment, that it's probably for the size of the Joy-Cons that they're increasing it so much, but we'll see. So then they go through this nice graphic, nice set of graphics showing how the new system looks. And basically everything here is very much like the original Switch. You got your kickstand, you got all the same buttons and ports and everything. The cartridge slot is in the same exact spot. I mean, so far it looks very much like the original Nintendo Switch. Now so you can see how much bigger the new Joy-Con is compared to the old one. Now, you can't really tell that well, but it looks like the buttons are a little bit bigger, which is nice. Just the whole thing, though, being bigger is going to be great, because the current Joy-Cons, they're so small. They're so uncomfortable to use. I hate them. So now, looking here, though, so we got, the left Joy-Con looks basically the same. You got your minus button, you got your thumbstick, your shoulder buttons, your 4 arrow buttons, and your capture button. The right one, though, you have most of the same buttons, plus there's this one here, which I saw somewhere referred to as the C button. I have no idea what Nintendo could possibly be planning on using this for, other than the one thing I think it could be used for is if, like, you're using, if you're doing multiplayer and each person has one Joy-Con, that could then be used as an additional capture button. But other than that, I have no idea what they could possibly want to use that additional button for. And it shows colors, which are a lot more, I guess, pastel-y than the original colors. It's still got the red and then the other one's blue, but it's, more of a pink. So now seeing the whole side here, so where the shoulder buttons are, it's a lot higher up. So on the current Switch, the shoulder button, the current Joy-Cons, the shoulder buttons are very indented in, and the whole thing is just basically the same size as the, when it's attached to the Switch or not, it looks the same. It's clearly got a much taller section here where it connects to the Switch. And that allows these shoulder buttons to be bigger, but also just out more where they're going to be more comfortable to use, which is nice. We got a pairing button, and then, so this we saw in one of the leaks or something looks to be an IR sensor, which is interesting, and I'll get to why that's interesting in a moment. And then here is where it connects to the actual Switch. And you'll take note that this doesn't have the same, like, grooved rail system as how the original one connected. So yeah, and then there's the blue, and everything looks exactly the same on it. So now, the joystick here, this is obviously one of the big things everybody's concerned about, because obviously the original Joy-Cons, you have the drift issue. I had one of my sets of Joy-Cons started drifting years ago. I did end up sending them in to get repaired, but this is something that's kind of a blemish on the Switch's otherwise pretty perfect legacy. Hopefully they go about fixing these, change whatever type of thumbstick they use, whether it's Hall Effect or what else. I know there's other types out there that are less prone to drifting. So hopefully they took that into account. I'm sure they did, since it's impossible for them to ignore that problem. So yeah, this is why the RAR sensors are interesting. they show these Joy-Cons racing around, but basically like a mouse. They're right here. They're treating them like it's a computer mouse. So I'm wondering if, I mean, they've got to be doing something with, some sort of gimmicky thing where it's got a mouse. Like the Super Nintendo had a mouse for Mario Paint and other things like that. So I guess they're going the same route of also having it be kind of like a computer. I don't know. It's a little weird even for Nintendo, and Nintendo likes to do things weirdly. Oh, and you can see on the back here that it does have, of course, not just the R buttons, but also the ZR. But looking here, it looks like there's actually an additional trigger button here. I don't know if that might still be the ZL and ZR, or if that's something else, but yeah, it looks like there is an additional trigger, so 3 triggers, which is kind of nice. Yeah, let's see if I can rewind. Yeah, that is clearly a different button. That is a 3rd trigger button there, which is very interesting. I don't know if that would just be, an additional ZL or ZR, or if that would be a 3rd trigger, like, completely independent, or if this is just a different position that you could use either of those. I don't know. And then, yeah, so here's how they connect. So they can connect to the console right here. And instead of being slide on rails, it just clips on with magnets, or we're assuming magnets. And I've seen other people mention this online, and I'm calling it, this right here is going to be a failure point. This is going to break, and people are going to complain about it. I'm sure Nintendo realizes this could be an issue, and the fact that this is indented in so far means it's probably not super likely that you'll be able to, like, bend the Joy-Cons and snap that, but I still think that is a potential source of failure. I am pretty confident that that will end up breaking on some people's Switch 2s. I don't think it's super likely, but it's probably going to happen at least, a couple of times. So there's the whole system overall, which it's a pretty nice look. It doesn't look very Nintendo, though. Nintendo, I think of bright and fun and cheerful, and this looks much more serious. If the Joy-Cons that came with it by default were brighter colors, not just like this ring around the thumbstick, that'd be one thing, but it looks too serious for a Nintendo console to me. I am sure they'll have all sorts of different colored Joy-Cons, but as of right now, we only know of these black ones, I believe. I don't think they showed any others. So, I assume it'll just be black at launch, and then they'll have other colors later on, which, of course, we're going to have to get. Now, I would assume that the original Joy-Cons and the Switch Pro controllers, I'm assuming you can still pair them and use them to play, but obviously, since it's a different mounting mechanism, you can't actually slide your original Joy-Cons onto this. I assume somebody's probably going to make. I'm sure that you'll be able to actually make a connector that you slide onto your original Joy-Cons to snap it on like this. It'll look a little awkward, but I would assume there will be some way to use your original Joy-Cons. But as it stands right now, it looks like it would only be wireless. You can't use them on here. And the naming. So the fact that they actually went with the name Nintendo Switch 2, that is a huge missed opportunity. I would have loved it if they had decided to call it the Super Switch. That's what I was hoping. Nintendo Switch 2 is lame. It is almost as bad of a name as Wii U. Hopefully this doesn't have the same legacy that the Wii U had, but it's not a good look having such a dumb name like the Wii U had. So that's kind of annoying. Again, Super Switch would have been awesome. Oh, actually, right there was a much better shot of those additional trigger buttons. Let's see if we can... Yeah, I don't see any labels, but yeah, those are definitely separate buttons, so that's interesting. I'm going to assume they're probably just going to be... They're they're probably just going to be a second mapping for the ZR and ZL, but I'm not sure. And then this right here, which some of the leaks had said this. Ooh, Mario Bros. Circuit. That's what that track is called. They have officially announced a new Mario Kart. They haven't actually said that it's a new one, but this is obviously a new Mario Kart because these karts are all different and this track has never seen it before. So obviously this is going to be a launch game or a launch title for this console, which is fantastic. If you want to sell a system from Nintendo, you launch it with Mario Kart, 3D Mario, or a Zelda. So launching with Mario Kart, one of the best decisions they can make here. It would be nice if they also launched with a 3D Mario, but I don't think we're going to get that lucky. But at least there's a fun multiplayer game right off the bat. And there is the dock, which obviously it doesn't look that much different than the current dock, or actually it doesn't look that, it's more like the OLED dock. We don't really get to see much more of the dock other than this. So we don't know what kind of ports it has or anything. And we don't know yet if this dock will be backwards compatible with the original Switch. I would assume they would make it backwards compatible. Actually, so seeing how much bigger this console itself is, actually you probably couldn't use your original Switch in this because it would be inset. So like you wouldn't be able to have the Joy-Cons and the original Switch. Maybe just the console, but actually with the Joy-Cons on, you actually wouldn't be able to use this dock. Huh. Alright, well that's unfortunate. So here's the Joy-Con grip, which is, it's basically the same as the Joy-Con grip we have now. It's just obviously bigger and designed to take the new mounting mechanism. We got some more Mario Kart in the background here, which I like. I like this. This restaurant's made to look like Yoshi with a burger. I like that. And 2025, so it is coming out this year, which is fantastic. Because I was actually worried that it was going to end up being next year, in which case, like, come on, Nintendo, what are you doing? So here, plays Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games, as well as Nintendo Switch games. But it does say that it plays both physical and digital Nintendo Switch games, which is awesome. But certain Nintendo Switch games may not be supported on or fully compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't know why they would have some games not be compatible. The only thing I can think of is I know Ring Fit Adventure, and I don't know if there how many other games, but there's the IR sensor on the bottom of I think it's the right Joy-Con currently. So that's the one thing that I can think of that would make it be not compatible. If they don't have the same IR sensor on the bottom there like they have on the current Joy-Cons, I would assume that would be one of the any games that use that would be not compatible. But other than that, I don't know. Also, you can see much better the size comparison much better here. So it is actually a fair bit bigger. And actually, yeah, so I mean the whole screen of this one even would be bigger than the OLED Switch's screen, because like the OLED Switch, the screen is like that big, it's just take off the bezels, and it really does look like it's bigger than just the screen real estate is bigger than the console itself for the original Switch. So that's kind of nice. I mean, it is nice. It's not necessary. It really didn't need to get bigger, but it is actually kind of nice that it's so much bigger. Yeah, I do like that. And then at the end here, so yeah, so they are going to actually be having a separate Nintendo Direct. Unfortunately, not till April. Like, they couldn't even do it in, like, March or something, but no. So we have to wait till the beginning of April to get more information. I assume Nintendo's not going to say much more until this Direct, which is unfortunate. It would be nice to know more, but hey, at least we know one Nintendo Direct for this year, which is pretty cool. And then there's this. So there's hands-on events being held around the world where I guess at certain dates you can go to various Nintendo stores or Nintendo headquarters, I assume, and you can get hands-on with the console. I would assume not playing new games. I would assume that you're probably going to be playing just the original Switch games. Maybe the new Mario Kart you'll get to play at these events, but they I don't think they've actually given any more details other than like the locations and dates and times of a handful of these events. Like I think there's one in the Nintendo New York store. I think there's one in Dallas at some point. I'm not sure about the others. I don't remember what else I read about it. But that's nice if you're in the area of one of these events and you have the time, maybe go check it out and see how this new console is. So there we go. That is the new Nintendo Switch 2. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it, but I definitely have some concerns. So my main concern is if it's going to be a repeat of the Wii U. So the Wii U was confusing for parents. The naming scheme is like, is it another Wii? Is it an add-on for the Wii? We don't know. Now, calling it the Switch 2, it's clearly a sequel, so it's a little bit better, but the fact that it looks so much like the original Switch and the naming is, it still says, oh, it's Nintendo Switch. I have a feeling that it's going to have some of the same issues selling, and parents are going to be like, well, why do you need this? You have a Nintendo Switch, it looks exactly the same. They're not going to get that you can't, play the Nintendo Switch 2 exclusives on your original Switch, but that's not really going to matter to some people, I think. So that might be a slight concern. On the plus side, though, it's backwards compatible with the most Nintendo Switch games. So that's awesome that the console is already launching with an enormous library of fantastic games. I mean, the Nintendo Switch has some of the best games ever made, in my opinion. You got Breath of the Wild, you got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you got Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Metroid Prime Remastered. Like, you've got so many fantastic games on it that this brand new console is already launching with one of the best game libraries out there. So that alone is good. And it also means that there's a chance that Nintendo's going to keep more of the Nintendo Switch games in print for longer into the lifespan of this new console, because they can still be played on it. Now, granted, again, the Wii U was backwards compatible with Wii games and launched with a great library and still failed. But I feel like the Nintendo Switch library is a bit better than the Wii library was, so that's another point in favor of the Nintendo Switch 2 compared over the Wii U. Still, I'm still nervous, but yeah. I think really the most important thing for Nintendo to have done with this new console is to make sure they fix the Joy-Con drift issue. As long as they fix that, I feel like this console is probably going to be pretty successful. I mean, granted, the name the Nintendo Switch is built for itself. You would think it would be successful despite the similarities to the Wii U's launch. We'll see. And the fact that it's launching with new Mario Kart is fantastic because it's been so long since we've gotten a new Mario Kart. And yes, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a really good game. But it's gotten old. Yes, I know it's very, very popular still. It still sells very well. But we've had the same Mario Kart for so long. I'm so excited to finally get a new one, and I will be absolutely pre-ordering the console and the new Mario Kart to go with it as soon as the pre-order is available. I'm so looking forward to it. So that's all I really have for now about this new Nintendo Switch. Please definitely let me know what you think down in the comments. Are you going to be picking one of these up? I'll be eagerly looking forward to more news, and I will absolutely be covering that Nintendo Direct in April when that eventually comes around. But yeah, so until next time, so long.